Hey everybody, it's Allie. Welcome back to December Daily 2025. I am working on story number 6 in my album, and today I am feeling like it is time for some sequins and for some kind of a shaker and something. Okay, so let's talk about my story that I have outlined here. So I printed this picture out a couple days ago. It's a funny picture. It's Simon is behind the sign right here. Aaron is in motion. This is a still from a short film that Simon is working on, a short Christmas film where he's recreating some past holiday movies and then adding in his own vibe to it. So I had printed this picture and I was thinking, I really like it. It's creative, it's fun, it is representative of the season of life here, all of the above. So I think what I want to do, initially I was like, okay, I could do a full page one, but I've done a few full pagers. And then I was kind of like, okay, maybe I can do a shaker or do something. I also want to have some things that are on the outside of my album that are a little bit thicker too, because a lot of the bulk of my album ends up being on the inside parts of the pages. So part of what I'm thinking of here today is creating a shaker that would be on the outside edge. I have one of these 3x8 pages. I have a 6x8 page protector that I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try using the fuse tool to create my pocket or to create my shaker. And so I'm going to be putting everything inside of here. A little bit of journaling probably is what I'm going to add on to each one of those, kind of thinking about what I might want to do here. Maybe I might want a different color. I haven't decided yet for the number. And then I'll be trimming this photo down. So it's essentially more like that is kind of what I'm thinking. So that's where I'm at right now in terms of figuring out what I'm going to do. I have my fuse tool warming up. I'm going to test that out again today. Fuse tool is where you can actually melt the plastic together. So my intent is to melt along this edge, then put in some of my sequins, either a colorful one or this one right here, and then I would use the fuse tool along the top to melt the top portion, and then this will get added on here to the outside of my page here. And then this part wouldn't be a pocket necessarily. I mean, it wouldn't be a pocket because it would be closed up. So that's kind of where I'm starting today for today's story. All right, so the first thing I did was just pull out my box of numbers again to see if there was a specific number that I wanted in addition or different from that, the green plastic number 6. It would be totally fine on there. I just like being able to look back and see what I can find, just like yesterday when I found those fabric ones. You can see I've got a few more of those left too. I'm going to end up with the gold 6. At first I was thinking I would just put it right in the middle, but then I was like, oh, this might be fun to have it break outside of the shape of the label. I think I might have said that in part of the video here, or I will say it at some point. But I liked the idea of having it break out of the grid and the shape of the grid. And I also liked the sentiment festive story. So I'm cutting that out of the longer label from the main kit. Now I've got out my fuse tool, and the fuse tool essentially is something that you can use to create your own pockets. So it is a tool, a heat tool. You heat it up, and then you can use a metal ruler like I'm using right here. And essentially you are melting two pieces of plastic together in order to create the pocket, which is similar to how they're manufactured, right? They're manufactured with some sort of a heat press in order to create the pockets. And so I haven't used mine for a while, but I was super excited to get it out again. I think the main thing is letting it heat up all the way. So I plugged it in and then walked away for a little bit and then came back and it was nice and hot. And ready to create my pocket. I do end up having to go back in again and redo part of it, but you'll see that in a bit. Okay, so what I decided to do was actually print on transparency. So I'm going to be able to slip this in there. You could also just print the digital version of this page. I'm having fun making a little kind of layered title here for that part. And then this part I'm just going to be able to cut and slip right inside of the pocket there. And then I can add my sequins there. I could run this through the Mink machine. This is from a laser printer. I have a laser printer that I've had for a number of years. That's it's actually, I have a color laser printer here that I use for proofing and stuff like that. But you can just get a black and white laser printer that then you can use to add gold foil on top. But this time I think I'm just going to do black. I kind of like the look of that. So I'm just trimming this out. This had an outline on it so I could see where I wanted it to go, or where to cut it up. And then so this is my little thing. I think I might actually build that on the outside of the page protector. But here's this guy, so transparency. Other ways you could do this, like I said, you could have the digital version of this paper, and you could add your journaling right onto that. You can see it's a little bit off, but that's going to be good enough. You could handwrite journaling on there. You could use sticker paper. That's something else that I've done here, but I think that's going to work just fine. So the next thing that I want to do, actually I can see the line on there. That's why that one is, got to trim that black line off a little bit. These are the little things that sometimes you just got to take care of. You just got to do it. I also want to tell you guys that I've looked at this photo literally for like the last 3 days or so and considered using it for my story and then stopped. So if that is happening to you for whatever reason, one reason or another, I get it. That's kind of what happens sometimes. Okay, so I'm going to add in, this is from the Diary of Belle Rose. She does these really cute sequin mixes every year. She's been doing them for the past few years, and I just think they're so cute. Such a good little mix. And I feel like I want to be a little extra with these. Whoa, where are they coming out? Okay, there, we can see now where I need to go over this again. Okay, no. All right, so we need to do some more. Whoa. Let's do another round of, I can see where it's coming out of my thing there, where I was like, oh, I have it so good, but maybe it needs more melting. So again, this is the fuse tool. You got to let it get really hot, and maybe I need to be pressing harder. Okay, that seems better. I don't really care if there's like multiple lines on there. That doesn't really bother me. I just want it to be sealed shut. And then sealing is what I'm going to do on the top too. I do want to be able to read the journaling, so I feel like that's probably good enough. But I'm thinking that I'm just going to add this on the top part here. So the other thing that I need to do is close the top. So that's what I'm going to do next here, which is just... I'm going to go over it a couple times. Now I've had this fuse tool for a very long time, and sometimes it's great to remember that we have these kinds of tools that can be used. Okay, so that's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's going to add a little bit of dimension to the outside, which is one of the things that I wanted to do, and it's holding my journaling, and then I can build my title on top. I'm trying to get my fuse tool to chill out over here. And I still like the idea of putting this on the outside. Yeah, cute. Okay. So this guy right here is from the Advent calendar. This is an old gold number 6. I think that was actually from like a week in the life a number of years ago. But as you saw, I just keep all of my numbers together, and then that makes them really easy to grab. Numbers have long been something that I've liked incorporating into my storytelling, partly just because it's an easy jumping off point, right? and easy, and they're so visual. I love that part too. Okay, what I need to decide is how much. One of the things that I really liked about as I started putting this one together right here was just the simple idea of it breaking out of the grid a little bit, especially the grid of these the label shapes there, and having it, instead of keeping everything contained in there and breaking out of it. So this is a puffy sticker. Again, this is from the Advent calendar this year. And I'm just going to layer it right on top of here. And then I also cut this festive story. That was one I was thinking about putting on here. Actually, that's kind of funny if it was right there too. But I think I like it on top of there. So I'm going to go ahead and use some more of my thinnest red line tape to add that on there. And then I'm going to trim down the photo, and that's going to basically be it for this page. So a fun way to incorporate a shaker that you create yourself. You could also use, if you have a 3x8 page protector, I don't think we have one actually in this size, because the 3x8 ones would be thinner than these are. So creating a custom one, you could also, use red line tape. You could add washi tape on top of it along the outside edge if you don't have a fuse tool. Lots of things that you could choose to do. And I'm just putting this right on top because I like having 3 little elements. So cute. Okay, so next up then is I'm going to be trimming this down and then getting it onto the page. This I'm probably going to use some red line tape just to adhere this on the back. Okay, so I'm going to trim this guy down. One of the things going into this year's December Daily Project, I've been thinking a lot about just the full page photos and how much I love the full page photos. So I'm definitely doing a lot of that right now, partly just because I like them. But I know that in a coming up day, I'm going to have some little ones. We're going to do some fold ups and some that in the season pattern paper is one of the ones I have probably coming up next. I got to decide where I want that in the flow. Okay, so here's the back. Here's yesterday. That was that flip up, fun flip up, which I liked creating. You can see my magnets on the back. So now what I need to do is just kind of figure out. I'm pretty sure that what I want to do is just adhere this right onto the back of this guy, with red line tape. And so then this part will just be right here. I kind of need to decide, do I want to cut off? I think that's probably where I want it to go. Just looking at it. Okay, so if I do this first, let's do that first. I'm just gonna get out some red line tape. So for adhering this kind of thing, not only the photo, but also the pocket that I created with the sequins inside, I definitely want to use red line tape. I want it to be a super strong double-sided adhesive that's going to hold it in place, especially when I'm not working inside of page protectors for my overall page. So I'm pulling out some red line tape right here, adding this down on the back just in order to get my photo adhered. Again, this is working on the back of my story number 5, so you can see the little magnets there. I could have totally done something else with magnets on this side too, but decided that could wait for another story if I want to do that. So red line tape, I have a couple different widths of this. This one looks like the 1/4 inch maybe, or I think the 1/4 inch. Then there's an 1/8 of an inch, which is the thinner one. And then there's a 1/2 inch one. I don't think this might be 1/2 inch. I don't know. Anyway. And then I do, it takes however long it takes to get the edge of it in order to pull it up and then adhere the full page down. I'm going to use my 6-hole punch to punch the holes in there. And then I'm going to add more red line tape on the back here, or on the background from yesterday, in order to adhere my pocket, my shaker pocket with my journaling and my title. So I'm going to add 4 pieces here, and then I'm going to add another long piece on top of my photo because it needed a little bit more width there. It needed to be over a little bit more since I was going to put it on top of the photo itself. So peeling all those things off, I throw those on the floor. That is what I do. And then after I'm done, I sweep. That is what has come to work well for me. I'm a stand-up person. I mean, I am a stand-up person. I stand up to create my projects, so I'm standing here at a table, and just seems to be easy to throw it down on the ground. All right, so here's what it looks like in the album. I actually really love how this one turned out. Brought some joy to me today. I'll see you guys back here tomorrow.